Hey guys, Luna here, and welcome to another episode of That Crypto Hustle podcast. Super excited about today's guest. I have Julian Picasa. Did I pronounce your last name correctly? I hope
You
so.
got it.
Awesome. So super excited to have him on board because actually I went to high school with this kid like super long time ago. Don't ask me when. But and he's the founding director at Meta, which is the Miami Emerging Technology and Arts Institute. So he's been involved in the crypto space since 2012. He made some good investments, so super proud of him for that. He is super innovative, saw an opportunity, and has been really involved in the space. So, Julian, why don't you talk to us a little bit about your crypto journey? I'd love to hear more about that. And first of all, thank you
Well,
for being on the show. Sorry, I'm so rude.
oh, such a pleasure. I've always enjoyed talking to you. So, thanks for having me.
Yeah, totally.
As for my journey, I guess it's been a long one, and it's been a long and rocky road since 2012. I got turned on to Bitcoin, and in a strange context, it was essentially tech. It was the tech community. I was working as a visual effects coordinator in LA and working with a lot of really edgy creatives that were deeply technical, and they were all really excited about it. And it kind of, I think it's important to paint the picture properly. We were still very much in a vivid post 2008 state of mind. Like I had started talking to some of these guys about really radical new ways of living and working together and new economies in 2009 and 10. So it wasn't a surprise when in 2011 they started buzzing about some of this stuff. And I ended up buying in 2012 as a result. But the conversations then were mostly just around the concept, bless you, of decentralization and why that mattered, and really why by design Bitcoin was the way to make that possible as a new kind of platform for sharing. And it was in those days, that's pretty much all we ever talked about it as, was a platform for sharing. And specifically, it was a way in a post-Occupy Wall Street kind of culture to decentralize finance and take down in any way possible the centralization of money in the central banks.
Yeah.
And fractional reserve lending and all the things that were wrong with just monetary policy in general, and the way we viewed money and the government's relationship to it, the people's relationship. It's kind of a way to reclaim that via a decentralized technology.
So how do you feel?
So I was really
Yeah, no,
really excited about it since then.
Yeah, no, but definitely, and you're absolutely right. That's where it all started, and what's really amazing to see is that the people who've known about crypto for a really long time, like they have, I don't want to use the word utopic because, I think we all want to reach to that. I do think there's going to be a lot of regulations that are going to come into cryptocurrencies because obviously, I guess there's a couple things I want to ask you. Like the first thing is why do you think governments are letting cryptocurrencies being in the market right now? Like what do you think is their incentive?
Oh, that's fun. You think they're letting us do it? No, they're not letting us, hon. They can't stop us. Think back to Napster. Napster was file sharing, but it was centralized. And so the government was able to effectively stop file sharing. For a long time, people shared files on Napster, but then once that centralized source was shut down, what did people switch to for their file sharing? They switched to torrents, which are peer-to-peer and are a decentralized form of file sharing.
Yep, so right.
And the thing is that you can't stop peer-to-peer. You can write laws about it and say, oh no, you're not allowed to do that officially by law, but you can't actually stop it.
Right, definitely.
And that's a critical nuance. You can stop a centralized entity. You just aim at the trunk of the center of the entity, like Napster, But if it's decentralized, you cut off this part, and this part's still fine, and you cut off that part, and it's like it just moves. You can't really stop it.
So
the government doesn't let us at all. They can't stop us.
No, that's a really valid point. You're absolutely right. I didn't think about that. And also, I'd love to hear from you, what's been sort of the progression of, now you probably are laughing because it's so hyped up. So, what's sort of your take of what's going on and what's the one thing that people are really missing out and focusing too much their attention on? I mean, before we started the interview, you mentioned the fact that people are focusing too much on the trading part, obviously because when there's money to be made, like people just get excited. But what's the other part you're super excited about, like the technology part of it?
I mean, excitement is great. The technology part of it, when you're really techy, you start seeing that blockchains I mean, it was really revolutionary that blockchains were a thing before Ethereum. When Ethereum came around, they put smart contracts on the blockchain and created a completely different platform for something that doesn't have to be finance at all. Like the shared ledger, you don't have to be, putting dollars in and out. You could be putting votes in and out. You could be putting shared data bandwidth in and out. Like you can share anything using a smart contract. And that's what makes Ethereum really different. And then there was the revolution of the ICO and the idea of a token sale as a fundraising thing. And that was pretty next level, and nobody had really thought of that. And that's been hugely successful in the past 2 years. 2016 and 2017 were boom years for ICOs, millions of dollars pumped into people's crypto startups. And a lot of the time, we didn't see a product on the other side for it, which, is kind of sad and troubling. And it's why it's good that it's slowly getting regulated. I think if I was looking on the technology side, there are 4 technologies worth looking at today for how they're going to affect not just the market, but the platforms in general in the future. 2 that must be mentioned are Rootstock, which is essentially a way of doing smart contracts on the Bitcoin blockchain, and the Lightning Network, which is the way there have been about 4 years of debate now on how to handle on the tech side something called the scaling problem, which is essentially that the Visa network, of credit cards, like they process something 40 million transactions per second, and right now Bitcoin and Ethereum can't really break 12, like they were going
Right.
7 to 10, and so how do we scale so that we're able to process as many transactions as quickly as Visa? Because that's the only way the finance applications of cryptocurrency could be realized.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lightning Network is aiming to create a second layer on top of the blockchain called the Lightning Network that can connect simultaneously to multiple blockchains through something called parachains. And that should speed up the bandwidth tremendously and address the scaling problem in a very straightforward way. So if I was looking at Bitcoin for tech, disruptions, I would say the Lightning Network, which is due to launch in Q2 of next year, is pretty important, and Rootstock. But then there are 2 other non-blockchain, blockchain-esque technologies out there that are also really worth looking at. One is called the Hashgraph. So instead of a blockchain, it's a Hashgraph. That's nobody's really sure, but it looks to be significantly better and doesn't have the scaling problems that blockchains have.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't fit right into the ecosystem of today, which is still in a boom era. So you might want to just keep an eye on Hashgraph because it might be early for it yet, but I don't think it's going to disappear. They launched with go ahead.
So can you talk more about that technology, like so we can further understand like what's the main difference between Hashgraph and blockchain technology?
Linearity, I think, is, I don't know, you would need a real coder to really break down the difference because they're fundamentally different. It still uses hashes, so it's still encrypted, but instead of a linear chain, mathematically, it's able to scale in both directions like a graph, which makes it, and then the nodes function differently. It's just structurally different, very similar to, in some qualities, to blockchains, but very different in others. It's just a very new iteration on this kind of tech. So, those who are really into the tech are looking at it saying, wow, this could really kind of disrupt everything. And essentially, if the Lightning Network doesn't solve the scaling problem will prove to be really problematic for everything built on blockchains. And then people will start looking at things like hash graphs and other variations of the tech to see if they can get past the scaling problem that way.
So I want to ask you, sorry, I just want to ask you, because I heard that Litecoin, a lot of reason people are excited about Litecoin, for instance, is because it's a lot faster than Bitcoin, and it would allow for day-to-day transaction. Is that true, or?
That's what they like to say, but it's still not. I mean, they're not. That's what they say by design. That's the marketing. But when you start looking at the actual transactions per second and measuring them against Visa, nobody's anywhere near. So, like Dash, digital cash is also supposed to be significantly faster, and Bitcoin Cash is supposed to be significantly faster. But I think all of these blockchains are going to need a Lightning Network to really operate the way Visa operates today.
No,
where it's just fast and instant everywhere, and
so,
it's just not like that.
So what do you see some of the applications beyond the trading for some of these technology? Like what are you like most excited about right now?
It's the most interesting part of it, but you want to talk utopian, you get really utopian when you go there. Let me finish this last tech thing that nobody's talking about. There's another variation on the blockchain out there called the Tangle. That's what's backing the IOTA coin right now. IOTA is really interesting. IoT stands for Internet of Things, and they're trying to build a kind of blockchain iteration that's a little different and much more scalable and faster. That is, allows things like smart cars and smart fridges, smart homes to communicate with each other and exchange information and different things and have contracts. And everybody's looking at the Tangle like it's also gonna last. Microsoft got involved and invested and like partnered or whatever. And there are a couple of, it's not exactly, the Tangle is not exactly the blockchain. So, looking at tech, that's what I look at for like what's going to shake the tech in the next year. And you'll probably see more from those four. As for the philosophy, I got to go back to my California roots, man. I mean, the thing is, like, that's where I learned about this stuff, and they're really progressive out there, and a lot of them are not. It's hard to describe today's digital progressives. Like, they're kind of like anarcho-capitalists. Like, they're not anti-money. They're not hippies that want to run off to communes. They do believe, potentially in social obligation, but they really just don't. I mean, and it's not hard to understand why. They don't really think that the old paradigm of American politics is the best thing we could be doing. And so they tend to be iterating like really weird, edgy, unregulated space. And the blockchain absolutely and smart contracts absolutely enable very new paradigms. So I've seen people building out like whole democracies, platforms for entire democracies, or whole social networks. Or you can essentially, like, when you look at what they're doing with smart contracts on the Ethereum network and what that's going to become on post Ethereum, you're looking at Web 3.0. You're looking at everything that the internet is getting rebuilt from scratch in a decentralized platform. And the one, that means anything you ever liked about the internet, anything you ever liked about mobile computing, things like Uber and Airbnb, where like things become possible, marketplaces become possible that just couldn't be possible before that, or crowdfunding, all of that gets decentralized. It gets done again decentralized. And that means that the government can't get in there and run it.
Well, and that's really interesting you mentioned that. That's what I think people don't understand about cryptocurrencies right now, because the media is pushing so hard on the trading aspect of it. So people are like, oh, it's fake money, whatnot. And they don't realize that this is like a revolution, and it's going to completely change the technology. And it's almost like you mentioned, it's a really good point. It's Web 3.0. So, I mean, I'd like to reel it back in a little bit and
go for it.
And ask you if you're trading at all. And
absolutely,
and you are. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about that.
that's today.
Love it.
So yeah, there's a lot of research in trading smart.
Yes. Absolutely.
You don't just want to dive in there and start throwing money around. A lot of people don't realize. They don't ever go past, like, I've been gifting everyone their first Bitcoin this year because I had more than I knew what to do with, and I was like, hey, have some coin, and like, people get to Coinbase and they're like, okay, now what? And they never even get to GDAX. And GDAX is just like it's the back end or sister company, whatever you want to call it, of Coinbase. They're so married, it's almost like you have one account in both. And but GDAX only trades USD for either Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Litecoin, the big three, right? Litecoin, I still don't take that seriously. So really, to me, that's Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I don't have anything against Litecoin. It was the first, like, I almost think of it like the first fork out of Bitcoin, and it was intended to address the scaling problem. So yeah, it's faster, but there have been several iterations since then that had the same kind of variation from Bitcoin. So it just doesn't seem that special to me yet, but I could be wrong. But Bitcoin and Ethereum, you essentially on every other exchange that isn't Coinbase, so like on Bittrex, on Binance, on Poloniex, on Kraken, on HitBTC, you mostly can't buy any of the many other altcoins with USD.
Yeah,
you can only trade them for Bitcoin or Ethereum.
Yeah, definitely.
So the main thing I keep telling people is like just buy Bitcoin and Ethereum at whatever today's price is, because you're going to be diversifying from those, not from your bank account.
Yeah.
And then the question becomes, okay, well now there are hundreds and hundreds of other ones. Which ones do I pick and why? And that's a long answer question. That's not a short answer question. A lot of people group by market share. A lot of people group by trading volume. Those are the two most common indicators to kind of, cut the cream off the top, so to speak. But you miss a lot of great opportunities that way, because there are a lot of great new tokens that just showed up in the last year or so that are still trading at a very low volume, and they're under $1. But Bitcoin was under $1 once, like that. Some of those can really boom. And in the end, it doesn't have to boom to, $11,000 like today's Bitcoin. If you put $1,000 on something that costs $1, and then that thing goes up to $10, you now have $10,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
You still have 10x. 10x is 10x. It doesn't matter if you went from a dollar to $100 or from $100 to $1,000. 10x is 10x. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So there's an opportunity to catch the really, really cheap, like penny stocks, penny coins, the little tiny ant shares, ant tokens, whatever you want to call the tiny ones, and catch them at just the right point in their growth where they 10x in the next year, and you put enough in there that you 10x whatever you put in.
Yeah, so for you to, it took you a couple of years, but so when you originally bought Bitcoin, what was your vision? Like what, obviously you were in the space and whatnot, but did you ever think it was going to go that price level?
Dude, I'll be real. They were talking $10,000 Bitcoins when I bought them for $100,
Really?
And I was like, yeah, guys, that sounds great. Yeah, they were already like, these things will be $10,000. I was like, yeah, that's great. You know what I thought I was buying? I thought I was buying a ticket to the show. I was already so sold on this decentralized revolution. I literally am a member of a group called, for the mostly California people, called Radical Decentralization. Mm-hmm. And they're not just sharing cryptocurrency news. They're sharing everything about creating new societies that are egalitarian.
That's
and
awesome.
They're just really proud and deep. And these guys really read. They're not sharing shallow, web lols or whatever and memes. There's some serious heady guys. So I just wanted a ticket to be a part of this weird thing they were talking about building. And so I was like, yeah, sell me some here, give me some. And just sit there. And within 6 months, it hit $1,200 from the $100 I bought it at.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah. And then it crashed back down. And I managed to evade Mt. Gox. I was in Mt. Gox, got out, and it got hacked a week later.
Wow.
And I was like, yes, I survived. And then I didn't touch my Bitcoin for 3 or 4 years. I just was and it went, it was 1,600 and 1,300 and 800 and it never really hit that all-time high again of 1,200. So I kind of forgot about it. And until this year, it just, I didn't forget. I was reading about the news. I was into the tech and the philosophy. I was a member of groups, but I wasn't trading. I wasn't buying more. I wasn't diversifying. I just sat on that initial investment for a while.
Yeah.
And
it's such, you need to have a vision, right? And you need to think long-term investment. I guess there's two different philosophies. There's the people who are day traders, but that's a skill set that you need to learn. Day trading, I'm definitely not a day trader. For me, I see it more as a long-term investment, and obviously you have to be on top of the news. So what are you currently using? You already mentioned couple platforms you're using. to keep yourself
Exchanges, you mean?
informed. Yeah, and the exchange as well. Yeah, because I actually never heard of the one you're
To
using.
stay informed? Okay, no, those are different questions. I use many, many, many different channels to stay informed.
Yeah.
I'm a moderator, I'm the news moderator of a group, so I have like five different, more than five. I think I have like 10 or 12 different Telegram feeds that
Yes.
I'm constantly like, they're giving me. Some are just robots giving me market updates, and other ones are like communities arguing. Like, I highly recommend Whale Pool. Whale
Okay.
Pool is like constant. If you're just looking for market advice, these are guys that are moving tens of thousands of dollars around in crypto every day. And but you'll be buried in market speak from the beginning if you're not ready for day trader speak, because they're talking about resistance and, support, and like they'll use the market speech. It's what you have to learn.
Yeah.
But so as far as what exchanges, I like Bittrex. Bitfinex was great, but they're no longer available in the U.S. So Bittrex is kind of there, and Binance is, I guess Kraken. That's where my activity has been. I think I have accounts on Poloniex, but I've never used it. I have an account, I don't even have a BTC account. These are the major exchanges. You can go to Crypto Compare, I think it is, and it'll list all the exchanges for you, and you can see which ones are more activity and more trading volume.
So do you recommend people using Coinbase at all? Because I've seen there have been lots of glitches, I guess, because there's more and more transactions happening within the platform.
It's the right place to start. So yes, I advocate starting there and moving out quickly. Like, educate yourself quickly. But if you just want a quick and easy, like just get in there, jump in place, go do it at Coinbase. Buy your first coin there.
Is there any other competitors in the space beyond Coinbase that you know of?
No, because what they did right was they have focused on compliance, and so they're the most legal, sound. Most people don't know, but like a bank, all of your USD that's on Coinbase is FDIC insured, and all of your crypto is also insured, but not FDIC insured. So if they were hacked, your money would in theory be safe. And there have been major scandals over other exchanges being hacked. I could talk about that for a while because I've been reading about one. Bitfinex was hacked famously last year, lost a lot of business, but then they created a BFX coin that was equivalent to $1, and they gave that to all of the people who lost money when they were hacked in exchange. And some of those people made a profit from that coin. So, but it was a weird legal space where they just created their own in-house coin to repay their customers. And then Tether, and I don't know if you know about Tether, but that's a whole side project for. We'll talk about Tether some other time. It's too long. So anyway, the information streams are endless. I must be a member of like 10 or 15 different Facebook groups. Some of them are crypto generalists, and some of them are like specific to one coin. So there's like an IOTA group and there's a Neo group. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There's also automated trading out there where if you don't want to learn what they call technical analysis, which is what day traders use in the foreign exchange industry already to figure out whether it's going up or down, you can instead get a robot to do it for you and do your trading for you. That's kind of a intermediate beginner move, and it's limited in scope, but it's a decent lazy way to make money if you're just trying to passively invest. I recommend swing trading instead, which is not day trading. It's more like week or month trading, like where you watch the markets but you don't trade every day.
Nice.
That's swing trading.
And so trading with the robots, what are some of the platforms that allow you to do that?
One of the oldest ones is called Bitcoin Robot or BTC Robot. Oh. I never used it. It seemed interesting. There's a web-based trading robot that actually has people's trading strategies or algorithms available for purchase. So if someone has a really successful trading algorithm that they've got their robot running, you can buy their trading algorithm.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Just plug it into your robot and say go, and then it trades your money by those same rules. And they have cheap ones and expensive ones. I feel like that one's called Crypto Trader. I forget. Okay. I'm not using it. And then there are like some kind of every questionable things out there like that are multi-level marketing type things that everybody likes to call Ponzi pyramid schemes.
Oh yes.
And one of them has
Well, like
robot.
BitConnect. What's the deal with BitConnect?
Yeah, I would avoid BitConnect. It's a scam as far as I can tell. But then there's USI Tech, which a lot of people say is not a scam, but it's pretty damn close to BitConnect. So it's hard to say, like it may be, I don't know, scam is a pretty broad word. They call these HYIP, high yield investment programs. Mm-hmm. And I definitely think BitConnect is pretty scammy, but I don't know. I know that multi-level marketing is not illegal and is proven to be successful in terms of making money. But when a multi-level marketing scheme turns into a Ponzi scheme or pyramid scheme, it's because of very specific things that are missing, like an actual product. And so you're only making the money from the people under you in the pyramid. You're not making money from an actual product. Whereas USI Tech, you don't have to do multi-level marketing. It has that option. But you can just use their robot, and they have a trading robot. And they just say, okay, give us your coin, and we'll use our robot, and we'll give you a return every day of 1%.
Interesting.
So there's all kinds of weird stuff out there, to experiment with, and that it's very Wild West, very what they call caveat emptor,
yes,
which is Latin for buyer beware out there, But it's just it's fun, it's exciting.
I know. I mean, no, you're absolutely right. There's it's exciting, and I mean, I think when you go in, you just have to know that you are taking a risk, but you're also, I mean, building history. Is that cocky? Helping build history?
No, you totally are.
you know? So that's what I'm excited about. Any other last thoughts you want to share with us?
Net neutrality is really, really, really important.
Yes.
And we want to defend it. But if we're not able, and we start getting like pay to play internet, guess what industry is going to thrive?
Which? Crypto.
Decentralized technologies will thrive in the absence of net neutrality.
Yeah.
Because if the centralized internet becomes a really annoying place, everyone's going to go looking for a decentralized, non-regulated space. Yeah. And that is this platform. Mm-hmm. So the best thing that could happen to cryptocurrency would be for full-blown loss of net neutrality. You would see a boom in a response, I think. It's an opinion, but
no, I have to agree with you. I mean, I'm not as involved as I used to be, but I used to like read a lot of articles about like the dark web and other messaging platforms. I mean, the reason people are on Telegram first and foremost is because it doesn't have a footprint the way WhatsApp does, and there's a lot of different messaging platforms that are out there which I haven't touched in a really long time, but I was like really interested in that space for a while. But I agree with you, like it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because I mean, even with social media, it's interesting. Like as a marketer, I'm noticing such a shift, the way people interact with the platforms, and it's interesting. I think Facebook is maybe having a little bit of a resurgence, if you want to call it that, because of the information you're able to get out of it, and all the Facebook groups, I think, is what's helped like put some breath back into it. Because for a while, I mean, personally, I would just go in, like kind of like see what everybody's up to and like call it a day, or like post updates. And I mean, I'm only speaking about social media in itself. So I mean, the internet on wide, you're absolutely right. It's going to be really interesting to see, as people will want to like claim their freedom back, right?
I mean, lots of people will just stick with like internet as cable, and they'll say, look, I don't care, just give me my Netflix and my whatever Amazon, and I'm good, and I'll pay you whatever. But the smarter consumer, which is more and more, like the younger and broader you get, the more you get smart consumers are like, no, that's not actually what I want, and I'm not going to pay you for that. They're going to start looking for other options, and that's what's on this list, is like what's next. You know what I'm saying? Like who's building something now that's going to solve the problems we're going to be having soon. And because it's not built yet, and they may not succeed. Probably 90% of what's out there is going to be gone in 5 years. But the ones that survive will be the Facebook and Google of the next 10 years, and Amazon.
Definitely.
So it is like there will be some kind of a bust on the other side of this boom. But there will still, just like after the dot-com bust, there were still plenty of dot-coms and the internet kept going.
Mm-hmm.
After whatever the Bitcoin bust ends up being, there will still be plenty of crypto companies and plenty of blockchain companies and plenty of decentralized applications. And they will be the Facebook and the Google and the Amazon of the next decade or so.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Julian, for such a philosophical conversation. No, but this was great. We talked a little bit about everything.
Anytime.
Lots of food for thought. So thank you so much. Where can we check you out? Social media?
My pleasure.
Social media?
Yeah,
anything you want to promote?
Whatever. I still pay attention. No, I'm not trying to promote anything, but I still pay attention to sharing actively on Facebook and Twitter and all the fun places. Instagram, if you want to see the pretty pictures I take of random weird stuff.
Well, and Julian's also.
No, just.
Yeah, no, sorry. Go ahead.
No, hit me up anywhere. I'm everywhere.
And Julian's also in our group, Crypto Hustle, on Facebook, so make sure to check us out. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much, Julian, for being part of the show.
Truly a pleasure.
If you guys have any questions, make sure to add them in the comments section and make sure to subscribe. Bye, guys.